So, Emma, what are we talking about in this podcast episode?
Today we're talking about fandoms, / how to brainwash our children into liking the geeky things that we like.
This episode is called All the Fandoms. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Crippen House. The baby is taking a nap, so come and sit with us in the man cave and join in the casual conversation. We're kind of quite childish and enjoy being a bit silly, but also being very real about the challenges of modern parenting with under fives-ish, kind of, that kind of age. So even if you're a bit sleep deprived or struggling to stay awake, come and unwind to our soothing voices.
Come and rewind to our soothing voices.
That's it, relax. Woohoo. But don't go to sleep.
Don't go to sleep.
Listen, stay listening. You should know us by now, or who we are, what we're doing here. But in case not, tell us a fun fact about yourself, Emma. I've changed up the format here.
Has it panicked me? I'm Emma. I'm the one who gets ready very quickly.
There you are. You can probably tell by that. I'm Elliot. I'm Emma's husband, who takes a long time to get ready.
Faffing around with his hair.
It's a typical example of how we often find we're in like the reversed gender roles, which again is quite appropriate to this episode where we're talking about fandoms and things that are often maybe stereotypically appeal to dads and men and what they're passionate about. And I think in our household, you're the more geeky, nerdy one.
I'm definitely the more geeky one.
I'm a lot more mainstream.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that in a second. Ba-ding! Ding, ding!
Ding, 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 ding.
That's the noise to say it's time to share a parenting achievement. These are the stories we like to share at the beginning of the episode, a little segment before we dive in.
Basically, it's like achievement unlocked on a Xbox.
Yeah, that's it.
So it can be something that's actually achievement, or it can be something that's really funny and is very relatable.
I thought we could share our stories of how over the last year since Lily started walking, she started walking around a year and a half.
Yeah.
And she's now just over 2.5. During that time, even though she can walk very well, she
perfectly
has
capable.
Yeah, a particular aversion to walking outside or anywhere in particular where you want her to walk.
Yeah.
And so
I would say she's getting better, but she still has an aversion to if it's muddy or wet, she doesn't want to walk.
So probably a very common experience for parents. Maybe, I don't know, maybe your kid's very good at walking.
It does seem like a simple thing they should be good at.
Yeah. But our toddler, we've got lots of stories where we've had to carry her places, or you head out hoping for the best, and then you always end up carrying her.
Or she insists that she's bringing her scooter, which she calls her bike, and she's like, Lily, go scooter. And I go, do you not want the pram with us? You don't want to go No. And she goes, bike. I'm like, okay, fine. She puts her little helmet, I forgot what it was then, helmet. Then she's rode it, but just far enough so that you don't want to walk back home with it. And then it's like, no, Lily tired. I'm like, are you? Are you tired after that little bit of... So then, carrying the scooter over my shoulder like you do, and for a little bit, she'll hold your hand, pretend she's going to be really good. Then, Lily, tired. I'm like, you can walk. No, Lily, tired. And this is when I should be stricter. And I could be like, no. But that's when sometimes you're in public and your child just is starting to have a tantrum. And you're just, when you're emotionally like, I can't deal with this. So then I'm carrying her and the scooter.
Yeah. We had that time we went for a walk in the woods and we ended up saying, you've got to walk home because she made such a fuss. By that point, we were like,
we need to put our foot down.
We can't give in because then it teaches her that if she throws a hissy fit, that she'll get what she wants. Yeah. So we ended up walking home with her like clinging onto my leg. Was it my leg or your leg?
Well, I think she took turns on people's legs.
And like dragging her along the floor.
Yeah.
We're like, this is ridiculous.
Ridiculous. And I know people are going to go, did you try making it fun? We try making it fun. We're like, let's do a race.
We try all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you may be wondering, like, the pushchair seems like the obvious solution to this dilemma. Before the last few months,
Yes.
she's been very averse to even going in the
She was,
pushchair.
yeah.
She really didn't like it for some reason. She was like, why would I want to sit here when you can carry me?
I can sit in your arms. That would be the preferable
I
thing.
particularly remember going out one time on a walk somewhere by myself, I think I was just trying to entertain her for a morning while, we were taking turns with childcare, and I was like, I'll risk it and take the scooter with me. And then because you're by yourself, you've then got no other options. And I did this big walk that was over ambitious. And I was like, ugh. So then I ended up heading out downhill, which was a stupid idea. Foolish Baba. I was going to I want to call myself then, Elliot. It feels weird calling myself Elliot. Foolish. And so I was coming back home, and it was like a really hot day. So I was like sweating, walking uphill, trying to carry a scooter under one hand. I had like a big backpack as well.
Yeah, because you're going on a big walk.
And then I had her with me, and she was tired, like flopping all over. It wasn't like holding on nicely, or, she's like a big sack of potatoes trying to throw herself off me, and I'm like, oh, this is terrible. Why am I doing this?
What a nice day.
Yeah.
See, that was nice for me because I didn't have to deal with it. I was at home working.
There we go. Funny story from. I mean, it might be funny to listen to.
Is it funny?
It wasn't funny at the time, I can tell you. Do you have a similar experience? Does it resonate with what you've had in your life of parenting with toddlers and children?
Do you have any tips on how to make your child walk places?
Yeah. Let us know. We'd love to hear. Contact us on the interwebs through the socials. Find a way to get in touch and tell us. Comment somewhere.
Telepathy.
And remember to stay tuned till the end of this episode, where we'll share any comments or stories or parenting achievements that have been unlocked by our listeners who've sent in some comments or whatever, and we share them each week. And if you'd like to do that, you can get in touch and do that too.
Yeah.
So take a break from the tantrums, escape, get in the car, go off to work, stick our podcast on, and let's get into discussing our topic for today.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, which is all around introducing our interests, particularly things like fandoms, to our kids.
Yeah.
First off, I thought it might be worth pointing out that there's a little bit of overlap with a previous episode we've done on kind of kids' TV, which was an episode called The Streaming Generation. In that, we talked primarily around things that Lily, at that time, our daughter, was a particular fan of, and, all the stuff around that. So this is kind of the flip side, which is around, not limited to TV and movies, but things that we as parents are especially into, and
and what we make her watch.
what we introduce her to, and things that we're excited to introduce her to in the future as well. How geeky are you, Emma?
I always say I'm not that geeky, but I'm actually pretty geeky, I think. I like a lot of anime, Studio Ghibli. I'm into all that stuff. I like a lot of video games.
Yeah. I mean, you work in the video game industry.
I work in the video game industry, but aside from that, I like video games. And I'm trying to think what else I do that's kind of geeky.
We'll come on to like specifics that we're both into in a moment,
I grew up playing a lot of board games like Dungeons and Dragons and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Whereas I'm a lot more.
I'd say it's mainstream geeky.
I'm less niche.
Yeah.
And I like typical big into Harry Potter and Star Wars.
I think you're probably millennial geek.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is obviously hugely influenced by our growing up in the 90s and all the culture and stuff that we've experienced and all that stuff coming back round and being popular again now.
Yeah.
When Lily was a baby, there's obviously less opportunity. I mean, a lot of these things, I imagine, will come into play as she gets older and we can really indoctrinate her into actually enjoying doing the stuff that we enjoyed doing and stuff like that. But when they're little, particularly like before they are aware of what's going on around them, there's still ways that we've introduced content to them. They might not understand what's going on, but we're like,
so I had a Totoro toy, and for people who don't know, I feel like it's more mainstream nowadays, but it might not be. It's a Studio Ghibli, or Ghibli. People have a thing about how you say it.
Ghibli or Ghibli. What side are you on?
character, and it's a big kids film. So I had a cushion-ish thing of that I used to put looking at her.
Yeah.
Just, little thing that she gets used to it and likes it.
I think this is a good point as well, that a lot of this stuff we had
we had
before
toys
Lily
already.
was born.
Yeah.
Because, we're big fans of it ourselves. And so we had a lot of stuff lying around the house. I mean, a lot of people would visit us before we had kids and go, do you not have kids? Like, you've got a lot of toys.
Got a lot of toys hanging about. Yeah.
We're just big kids.
We are, yeah.
One of the things that fits into that category was we have a blow up, this is difficult to explain, blow up R2D2 robot.
Yes.
So it's got like wheels, but the actual body of it is inflatable.
Yeah.
It has a little remote control and things.
Yeah.
So again, something we had before we had Lily, and it was a lot of fun. I think someone gifted it to us for
our
something.
Engagement.
Was it our engagement? Yeah, it was that.
And I remember when she started to crawl, we'd make it run around.
Yeah.
So she could chase it.
Switching fandoms, but sticking with the same time frame. I remember at that point as well, we had a. I don't know why we did it, but we've got a photo and a video of Lily lying on some blankets or something. She was quite little, and she had like one of our wands, like from Harry Potter, in her hand. Because that's the other element of babies, and when you have a new baby, is to buy clothes that celebrate some of the fandoms and interests that you're into.
I was really, really tempted when she was a baby to get like a Grogu outfit.
Yes, like a Yoda hat.
Yeah.
Because we'd seen some people that
adorable.
had like hand knitted
Yeah.
Yoda hats or Grogu hats.
Oh, I never did it. I just think I got overwhelmed with looking after a child. If people don't know, my family love dressing up for no reason.
Yeah.
I think this is why I'm such a geek.
Yeah, probably. Probably why I'm not, because my parents are not playful at all.
What was it for a birthday party? What was it for? I don't know if it's just my family decided they were having a summer party.
Yeah.
And we went as...
Oh, as Ratatouille.
As Ratatouille. So Lily was the rat, Remy.
Yeah.
And we were... what are their names? Is it Emmett and... Not Emmett. Basically, we were the other people,
Yeah, that's true. Can you name any other characters other than Remy in Ratatouille?
I'm sure some people can.
The main guy and the main chef lady.
Main chef lady, yeah. We dressed up as them to go.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was quite geeky.
There we go. So even within the first 3-4 months of her life, we'd already dressed her up and done things relating to Star Wars, Harry Potter, and Pixar. Yeah. This is where we're outing how into these things we are.
Yeah.
Be interesting to know if other people are, if you just think we're particularly weird.
Or send us photos. If you dressed up your child in something A, adorable, or B, really geeky, that would be great to see. Because it also gives us a lot of inspiration.
Yeah. Oh.
Because also,
I'm excited already.
There was a Halloween party, but this was when she was a bit older.
Yeah. What about 5 months or so?
It was
Or was it a year later?
Yeah, because at Kirsty's house, and when Kirsty was heavily pregnant.
Oh, so more recently.
Yeah. And do you remember we were Sully and Mike, and she was Boo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. We've done a lot of dressing up. In things that Lily doesn't have much clue about.
Especially at that time, she didn't know what Monsters Inc. was.
Yeah.
Now she's kind of as we've said before, she watches Monsters University because we're worried the first film was a bit scary. She now understands what Mike and Sully are, so I think she'd have been a lot more excited. But at the time, she had no idea what they were. She just knew we were dressing up in funny hats and we were like monsters.
That's fun. What shall we dress up next? I'm excited. I hope all this makes sense to people. If you're not into a particular fandom and we mention something that you have no idea what we're talking about, that's fine.
Yeah.
Not everyone's into everything, and hopefully there's something among. We're quite generalists, so we like a lot of different things.
Yeah,
and we'll try to touch on different things. So hopefully we touch on something that you're passionate about if you're listening to this. And if we don't, let us know. Tell us what fandom or
niche thing you're into.
Niche thing that you. It's weird, isn't it? Because we're talking about dressing up, but we're almost that almost borders on kind of cosplay stuff.
I would. This is when I'm a real geek at heart. I would love doing cosplay. I just don't have the time, energy, or money. But I would love to go all out and dress up as something.
Yeah. I'm a bit more self-conscious, and I can't just let myself go like that. I would struggle to dress up and then I could do it in private. but not
I feel
go,
that's an awkward conversation for another time, darling.
but not go to like a Comic-Con.
Yeah, whereas I would love it. And I
Yeah.
think, because as people can see from my beautiful Bluey and Bingo shoes that are being made on YouTube, if you're watching there, painted. I can't actually make shoes. I really like arty things and doing things myself, so I actually think I really like Comic-Con.
Our aim of this podcast is to connect with other parents out there around Yorkshire and anywhere, really, wherever you're listening from. So we'd love to hear from you about the conversation we're having today, or any episode, or just generally about the podcast, any feedback and things you have, or want to request topics or crafts you'd like to see us do. And you can do that in many different ways, but particularly you can chat directly with us in our Facebook group chat, our community of listeners over there. And there's links to join that on, down below in the description and on our webpage and all that stuff. But come and join us over there. Just find support with our daily lives in what we're up to with parenting. And of course, just to mention that our podcast here, Don't Wake the Baby, is in partnership with the Kairos Movement, which is a project of the Methodist Church, which Emma and I are both a part of. And it's a support network for us. The podcast is one activity that sits under the Kairos network, and there's many other different projects and things that go on around Yorkshire that are supported by them as well. One maybe to mention is there's a craft retreat that happens most months on the first Saturday over in York, in Acomb, that a friend of ours runs, and you can go and do some crafting there and relax. Craft retreat, if that's particularly your thing. Or there's other stuff that happens in Kairos that are partnered with Kairos.
You can go look it up. There's a website.
Yeah, go and have a look if you want. You can find out all the stuff, the links, everything via our webpage, which you can link to below, or it's www.kairosmovement.org.uk/Don't Wake the Baby. So moving on from the baby phase and jumping us up to around maybe like 7-8 months or so. That was the first time that Lily kind of was aware of particularly what she was like watching on TV. And so we got to introduce her to some stuff that we're fans of. And we mentioned some of this in our TV episode as well. A lot of it's kind of Disney related, and she likes a lot of Disney shows. Yeah. So I got to...
Although not the stuff... She doesn't really like old Disney.
Yeah, so there's a discrepancy between the Disney that we like, that we'd love to show her, and the stuff that she's a fan of. So the stuff she likes, as we've mentioned previously, are the typical things, really. She liked Moana for a long time. She liked Monsters University.
She likes Encanto.
Yeah, more recently, she's really got into Cars.
Oh, yeah. Huge Cars fan.
Typical of little toddlers, I think.
Yeah.
Particularly boys, but Lily absolutely loves it.
Cars.
Yeah. Finding Dory, she loves.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of the Pixar
Elemental,
and Disney.
She's a big fan of.
Yeah, that's a really recent one. She's a big fan of. And we're a big fan of that one too.
Yeah, we like that one too.
But what's would you say is your favourite Disney shows that you'll be excited to introduce her to when she's ready?
Ooh, it's a Disney show, but it's like a series. So back in the day, I used to be a big fan of Wizards of Waverly Place, and I've made Elliot watch I think 1 or 2 episodes before.
Yeah, I remember you forcing me to watch it.
Yeah, he wasn't a big keen, but I think you won't be because you aren't the right age now. But when you watched it at the right age, and then in hindsight, you have that lovely kind of feeling when you watch it again.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I'm really excited when she's the right age for her to watch that and experience like the kind of joy I got of that. You
quite like a lot of old Disney.
Oh, I do.
And particularly ones like, not the big famous ones, like Lion King or whatever, but it's a good film.
I feel like a lot of them are all famous regardless. But yes.
I don't know. So like The Black Cauldron.
Oh yeah, I love The Black Cauldron.
What was it? The Sword and the Stone.
Sword and the Stone.
What's the one? The Mouse Detective.
Oh yes, Basil.
Yeah. I feel like not everyone will know these Disney films.
That's true. Okay, in my head, they're very famous. But yeah, they're all great. And my problem is, I just don't know if she'll ever actually sit down and watch them.
Yeah, they're very of their time.
And they're very, like, a lot of things, it's really... She's a bit like me in that she's very picky with animation style. Because I think we tried to show one of the... Was it Cinderella?
Maybe.
One of the older Disney films. And she just looked at me kind of like, I don't get it. It's not what I'm used to seeing animation look like.
Yeah.
But then I say that she loves Totoro. My Neighbor Totoro, the film. This is another geeky thing I've got her to watch.
Yeah, anime.
That and Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah. Well, we've tried quite a lot of Studio Ghibli, but yeah, for me, I'm excited to show her things like Atlantis, which I particularly like.
Oh yeah, that was a good film.
And I quite like early the middle ones that got lost.
Yes,
So,
the
like,
ones nobody really likes.
Yeah, Treasure Planet.
Oh yeah.
What's the one where he becomes a llama?
Oh, Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
That's a good film.
I quite like some of those. I mean, I'm also a big Pixar fan, but that's a bit better because she's
them
already
into
we
Pixar,
kind of
really,
have already been able to introduce her to because they're quite accessible.
Yeah,
but
and as you heard, Studio Ghibli done quite a good job of.
We've been able to introduce those to her
but
as well.
But they do well. They do very calm films.
Yeah,
like I know some of them are weird, but like Kiki's Delivery Service and My Neighbor Totoro, they're very.
There's not much stress and danger.
No.
There's not much violence or things that she can worry about.
And it's a good one when we need her to just have a calm down.
Yeah.
To just put on and have her like a gentle watching.
We do that a lot with Totoro, don't we? Now that she's stopped having a daytime nap, we often come home and say, shall we have some quiet time? And we'll put a blanket out on the floor and we'll all sit and we'll watch My Neighbor Totoro. And it just kind of has a bit of a
nice
relaxing
effect. Yeah.
That's probably why we like it as well.
Yes, probably is.
It does amuse me though but the things that I'm excited to introduce her to, that they are kind of like Disney films and you know, not like the typical typical man things that
like Marvel.
Yeah, or other like interests outside of specific fandoms as such. Like I'm not a big sporty person.
No.
I'm not really into football. Yeah, and I'm not that into like music or cars or anything that's none of those things. I'm not going like, oh, I can't wait to like play catch with my daughter or teach her how to grill on a barbecue. What do men do?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yours is more geeky stuff you're excited to do.
Yeah. I suppose that tips us into talking about like maybe some specific fandoms, books, film or TV. There's obviously the really big ones that we've mentioned a little bit, like Harry Potter and Star Wars are two that
huge fandoms.
We're both quite big on.
Yeah. I'd say I'm more, I don't know. I'd say growing up I was more of a Star Wars person.
Oh, really?
But I do really enjoy Harry Potter. But I think it was earlier on in my childhood Star Wars that I started watching it. Which is sad because I don't really invest in it anymore. Like I don't really... I've watched some of the new ones, but not all of them. Saying it's probably a nostalgia thing. I like what I saw when I was
I think
little.
all of these are a nostalgia thing, definitely. And that's... And it'd be interesting to know if you've got older kids and have introduced your kids to these things in more engaging ways, not just like dressing them up and stuff.
Yeah.
And how have they responded? Like, have they got into the stuff you were into as a kid as well? And is that really exciting? Or is it a bit tough when you introduce your child to it and they really don't like it?
My sister Laura, I messaged them yesterday, a few other people being like, we're doing a fandom topic tomorrow.
Yeah. All your family's quite geeky, actually.
I think I'm a product of my environment. But I put a message being like, is there anything like you've really tried it? And Laura said, Adam is not into anything I'm into. He's very sporty. He doesn't, like, even with superheroes, he's really hit and miss.
Yeah.
He's not that into them. So she said, basically, no, he's not into anything that she was into. He does not care about Star Wars. He doesn't care about Harry Potter. She said, she's trying to be like, oh, would you like to watch this? And he's like, no, I don't want to watch that. Then he said she's just failed on the front of trying to get him into any of these things because he's too much of his own person. He's like, well, I just don't like any of those things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get it. It was fine.
Yeah.
They
And
need
it's
to be
good.
their own person.
Exactly. They
But
need to be their own
it,
person.
it was a little sad.
It's a little sad.
Yeah. I'm very excited to do more Harry Potter stuff with Lily. I think
Yeah.
Harry Potter's definitely my biggest
Yeah.
interest and
Yeah.
excitement. And both of them, Harry Potter and Star Wars, there's been ways in which it's kind of been a shame recently. Like Star Wars, we've definitely been, what's the word? There's been a lot of fatigue because they've pumped out a lot of stuff and not all of it's been good. And
No.
that's
And
a bit
I
of
understand people's
shame.
arguments when they go, the originals weren't fantastic.
Yeah, I get that.
Which I completely understand. But I'm like, yes, but I have a lot of nostalgia of the originals. So therefore, they seem a lot better, even if there's some very valid criticisms.
But also that's just seems strange to me to be like, yeah, the old stuff that wasn't perfect either, so the new stuff equally can be bad. That's fine.
Well,
I'm like,
yeah.
surely they should be aiming to actually make good things.
That's
it
true.
doesn't really matter.
It's true.
Why?
I just know a lot of people were like, oh, people are so critical. And I was like,
Yeah.
yes, I accept they wouldn't have pleased everybody.
Yeah.
But it's made me not interested to see any of the new stuff.
Kind of the Star Wars fatigue is one of the reasons why that's kind of a little bit of a shame. And then you've got kind of a similar thing with Harry Potter where
Yeah.
they haven't managed to. They're not pumping out loads of new content now, but there is it's been tainted a little bit by some of the cultural stuff that's going on around
Yeah.
it, which we can separate out from our enjoyment of the fandom. But I know for some people that's not always possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lord of the Rings,
You see by his voice. He is very, I'd say little to no interest, really, is what
I really
he's at.
try.
He
Because I
did.
want to like the stuff you
He
like.
does. But he
I
doesn't
just
like it.
can't. Yeah. Just,
He was like, it's a lot of fighting going on. It's just,
don't get it.
yeah.
Just, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you like Lord of the Rings.
Send him hate mail.
But we did try to watch the new Rings of Power.
Oh, we did, yeah.
Yeah, that was a thing.
I didn't hate it. Was it 3 episodes? And then I just stopped watching. And to me, a lot of it is if I will bother to watch it again. Because I have very limited free time.
Yeah, especially when you have a child, and we
So-
had a young toddler at the time.
Basically, time is precious to me. So I know if I stop watching it and I don't come back to it, clearly it hasn't had that big an impact on me. I haven't enjoyed it.
There was a
that
lot of
much.
things before we had children where we'd be like, well, we'll consume all of this. We'll
Yeah.
keep up with all the latest
Yeah.
Marvel and everything.
We'll
But
just watch it because it's something to watch.
now we're very picky about are we
Yeah.
going to invest in starting something.
So I know a
particularly
lot of
TV.
people really. I don't even think I got to the bit where there was loads of inaccuracies. I don't think I got that far.
Yeah,
I was very impressed with all the costuming and stuff, but I just don't think it gripped me enough
yeah,
to keep watching.
yeah.
I feel like we've gone off on a tangent talking about what we really like.
Yeah, but that's kind of what this episode is about.
well.
I suppose there are other areas of geeky interests which Lily might. I'm thinking particularly of like gaming,
True.
which could, it's something I'm sure she might get into in the future, and therefore that will be quite exciting because we're both into gaming in different ways.
We're very different game players.
Yeah, so I'm a very light, casual gamer. I like Switch games. I like playing Minecraft. I like strategy games. I like world building.
He likes games that I would deem to be boring.
Yeah. You want a good story.
I want a storyline. I want to be the character. I like an RPG where I'm going on a quest and I have to make choices and they affect the story.
Yeah.
That's all my kind of gaming.
Yeah. Are there any particular books that you'd be keen to start Lily on?
Yes, but they're not appropriate. Like, we both really like the King Killer Chronicles.
Oh yeah, Name of the Wind.
Yes, but they're not finished. Don't even start me on that sort of point.
Be interesting if there's other fans of it out there. I feel like it's quite niche, but I don't know.
But the fact we found each other when we both already had read it was quite impressive.
Yeah.
A, not finished. B, not appropriate for a very long time for her age. I'm trying to think what was books that I read. Oh, yes, this is harking back.
Yeah.
Enid Blyton. Loved the Faraway Tree books as a child. They were great. They had that very cosy kind of, oh, now the fairy's going to give us fudge. And
yes.
that was lovely.
Yeah. I'm, I suppose, similar, but maybe a little. Maybe this is one of my more niche areas where I'm a little bit eccentric in that I'd be really excited to introduce her to Swallows and Amazons.
Yeah.
Which by Arthur Ransom is kind of
which I honestly...
It's considered a classic.
I'd never heard of till I met you. And I live much closer to the Lake District than he ever did. But I didn't even know it was a thing.
God dear. God.
I know.
Our education system.
Let us down.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of... I don't know why. I don't know who introduced me to them, but I love them.
And I think you also like boating and things that kind of goes alongside that.
For me, it's very similar to your love of Studio Ghibli and that sense of the stories are so calming. Like, there's very little danger.
Very little drama.
There's so many things we could mention.
Yeah.
I feel like I should just run through a few things of ones that maybe we're not as invested in, but
that
just,
other people might be.
Yeah, and like whether there's particular things that we're... Obviously, there's like the whole mainstream, like Marvel and comic books and stuff like that.
It's not that we don't like that. I just wouldn't say we're as invested in it.
Yeah, we used to be pretty big
did.
into it, and then again the kind of fatigue has hit in, and I couldn't claim to be a big Marvel fan really. I like it as much as any other person.
Yeah. I'd say we enjoy it, and we're not like, oh, it's for children. Like we go see occasionally a film on it.
Yeah. Another one that's big with our generation, Pokemon.
Well, I was going to mention this because growing up, we had the cards and everything, but I was never... I enjoyed the TV series. We all know, from our generation, we all know the song. A thing recently that Lily's got into it, but in a very different way.
Yeah.
So she doesn't like... We tried showing her normal, the normal series of Pokemon. She didn't enjoy that, but it's called... What's it called?
Pokemon Concierge.
Pokemon Concierge on Netflix. She really likes that, and I think it's because there's no violence.
Yeah, it's another really calming one.
And it's a really clever one, isn't it? Like stop motion?
I don't know if it is stop motion,
or just made to look like it.
It's in that style.
And it's just this woman who moves to like a Pokemon hotel island, and they look after Pokemon and people and solve their problems. She particularly likes it
because the main...
Yes.
Pokemon,
is Psyduck.
It's Psyduck, and so she sees it and goes dark,
yeah,
and loves it, and because it hides, and then she has to find it, and she finds it hilarious that it hides, and you have to, and then she points at it every time and goes dark.
Yeah.
So it's interesting the different routes in.
Yeah, well, I just thought it's interesting she didn't.
But that's been the same with
series.
like Disney and Pixar and other bits and pieces where she might actually end up enjoying some of it, but she'll have a completely different introduction to it than
what we would have thought. Yeah,
and she might enjoy completely different elements of those worlds.
Yeah,
than what we originally grew up on. What about Doctor Who?
Yeah, the new one's meant to be excellent. I'm just putting that out there. We haven't caught up with it. We haven't caught up with it.
We've mentioned Star Wars, but we haven't mentioned Star Trek.
I really liked Star Trek too. I'll be honest. This is the geeky me. I also enjoyed that. I think it's just something that's going to be so far in the future by the time she sees it that it's just going to come off as really old to her.
Because they're making new stuff.
I know, but the stuff I like is old.
Once again, you're thinking about trying to introduce Lily to the original things that we had.
Yes.
Which, it's going to look pretty dated by the time.
And I think she's just going to go, well, that looks rubbish.
But there might be things that come out at the right time. And
well,
Lily
they did have that series that was quite good, didn't they?
They've had a few series recently.
Yeah, wasn't bad. Once again, wasn't a bad series, actually.
There we go. It's kind of brought us full circle back round to kind of TV and films and things. And there's a few other bits and pieces. I don't know if you could really call them fandoms, but got big followings. Things like Friends.
Oh, yeah. I'd say Friends is a fandom.
Yeah. What about the other typical kind of ones? The Office and Parks and Rec?
Yeah, I think I'm on a Facebook group for The Office, and I would say a lot of people are fandoms for that.
Yeah. The other big TV show, which has fallen off completely in recent years, but Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I think because of the ending, a lot of people are not in that fandom anymore.
I think it's scuppered it, because it's one of the things that I will never introduce our kids to, even if they're at the right age.
To be honest, they'd have to be so old to watch it. I think it would have to be their own choice by that point.
There might be other stuff that comes back around.
Yeah.
Like, it's a whole genre, isn't it, of
new
fantasy
series
stuff.
Called House of the Dragon?
Yeah.
That's meant to be fantastic.
Again, we've not seen it.
Once again, haven't seen it. This might be the podcast of haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Meant to be good.
Yeah. We're just trying to mention as many things as possible so people feel like we've touched on.
Feel like we've seen them.
Yeah. But it makes me wonder if actually the specific thing itself doesn't matter so much.
No.
Actually, it's more like the genre of things. So like for those things, it's more like sci-fi and fantasy, and there'll be other stuff that comes about in those genres that maybe will be quite fun to introduce Lily to, and it'd be interesting to see if she likes that type of thing, or maybe it's more around, you know, the whole Studio Ghibli. Maybe there's other anime that will come up that actually has a Western following.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
I think it's much more mainstream than it used to be. A bit like superheroes. It's come a lot more normal that people watch it.
Yeah, fascinating. Be interesting to see. Oh, last one on my list that we haven't mentioned, which I want to because you're a big fan, Sherlock.
Oh, yes. Love a bit of Sherlock.
Which, again, is another one where it's not like one particular
No.
telling of it. There's been so many. There's the books, there's TV, there's films.
Yeah, and when I say I love Sherlock Holmes, the character, the books, the two new TV as well, but I also really liked, there was one back in the day, looks Victorian.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy Brett.
There you go.
Not saying anything against Benedict Cumberbatch because he is an excellent Sherlock Holmes, but he was the first Sherlock Holmes I saw from loving the books, and I thought he was wonderful as that character.
Yeah. Well, this is how I feel about Poirot.
Yes.
I'm like, David Suchet is Poirot.
But I think
these
that's
Kenneth
not
Branagh
controversial.
ones,
I think that is just the truth.
I forced myself to watch through the Kenneth Branagh film, and I'm like, this is awful. I'm sorry if you like them, but...
This one else, we're both purists with certain things.
Yeah. It's also made me realise, as we're talking, that I think, once again, some of our personality shows through in that a lot of the things you like are kind of, I think you might like them because of the, you know, the world building that tells a lot of history. There's a lot of education to it. There's a lot of intellectual thoughts around it.
One of my main things about Lord of the Rings, I love they all have their own languages.
Yeah.
To me, that's a big appeal.
I can understand that as a linguist.
Yeah. Whereas I think to Elliot, he's like, well, why does that make that interesting? And I like a lot of lore in my fake worlds.
Whereas for me, I'm the creative that I love things that have artistry to them. So like Pixar is a great example where I think my favourite bits of Pixar are the little shorts they make before the films, where they're just little bundles of creativity. There's a tiny little story, but it's all about just being abstract. And,
it's another good way of saying how we introduced Lily to it, because there's that lava short.
Yeah.
That goes, I love you. I love that.
Yep.
And we showed that to Lily early on.
Yeah.
That was just a fun way of introducing Pixar to her, but in a musical way.
There's so many things to talk about. I'd love us to touch on a few other bits that aren't really fandoms, but are part of this broad, particular interest things of things that we'd love to introduce to Lily, and already have started to. So as she's a toddler, I think this is some great things that are really fascinating to talk about. So board games and puzzles and things like chess and other bits and pieces like that. We've really enjoyed recently, now that Lily's a toddler that can understand things, attempting to find some board games and other bits that she could engage with us.
Yeah. Recently we went to Geek Retreat. If you have one near you, great little things. And there was a game where you just roll dice, and it was quite easy because you could roll the dice and it was random. There was no, tactics or anything too complicated involved.
So like we could play the game as it was meant to be played, but she could also play it with us without understanding what was going on. And we've got a few other games that we often like, Sushi Go and things There's other games where board games and things that are fun to do that with. And we've got a lot of friends who are really into board games, and we love playing with our friends. Oh, that's reminded me actually. I don't know if this is a tangent or not, but we've not mentioned specifically like D&D.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Which, again, I was just thinking we've got like friends and stuff who are into that kind of area. But yeah, all sorts of things that we can... We're almost at the point where we can kind of introduce some of this stuff to her in easy ways, which is exciting. I'm quite into photography, so it's quite fun to introduce that hobby to Lily.
And she's already into it.
Yeah.
I put a little post on Facebook about how we were trying to do, once again, it's a bit American, our annual Christmas photo. Lily didn't want to be in the photo, she wanted to be the photographer.
Yeah.
Which I feel like already you've had the influence where she's like, no, it's much more fun to take the pictures than to be in the pictures.
She really enjoys like having a camera, but equally she'll use anything to pretend to be a camera and
Yeah.
go around and just go click, click, and
Yeah,
pretend
she
to be
will,
taking
yeah.
photos of things.
And then you have to pretend to like make a pose and she'll give you the
it's
pitch.
fun. And then lastly, another interest which is more your kind of area that you might be quite keen to introduce her to is things like musicals and theatre.
Oh, yeah. This one, I mean, I'm a geek in like multiple categories.
Yeah.
Yeah, love musicals, love theatre.
Yeah. Was it last year you went, or whatever? Can't remember. Sometime you went to the theatre to see
Totoro as a play.
Yeah,
that was really
anime.
good.
An anime. Was it a musical?
It wasn't. No.
No, it just had music.
It had live music.
Yes.
Yes. So basically, that's another way to get them involved. Take them to stuff, and then they want to like soak it in.
Because that would be good. Like with all of these interests and fandoms, once Lily's able to sit long enough, taking her to the cinema will be quite an exciting thing for us. It'll be quite an achievement of like we've not done it yet.
No.
Which seems crazy, but it'll be quite a moment, I think, when we go like the first time we've actually managed to go to the cinema, sit through and watch a whole film with Lily.
This is why I want a Bluey film.
Oh, that'd be great, wouldn't
Just
it?
ever gets creators, hear me out. Or put some of the episodes in the cinema so we can go view them, because so many things for children are just too long, and Lily won't have that attention.
Feels like
span
films
to
have
sit
been
there.
getting longer and longer
And
recently.
I'm like,
I want a
make
film
it-
that's an hour.
Or less, 40 minutes for a toddler. Just let us go in and have that little experience of going.
They keep complaining that no one's going to the cinemas and that they're going to close, but I'm like, you're not catering to our lifestyle anymore.
No.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah, if I'm going to watch a long film, I'm going to watch it from my sofa.
yeah, because I need breaks.
Yeah.
Like we need to watch it over 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. That's
Like,
that's what we do.
If it's 3 hours,
It's a long film.
we don't have the
We
capacity
literally
to
go,
go.
oh, we'll watch half of it tonight
Yeah.
and half of it tomorrow.
It's been a whistle-stop tour.
It has. I don't know if people have turned off. They'll just be like, it's just not, I'm not into any of these things.
And it's one of those episodes that's kind of vaguely related to parenting, but it's also an excuse for us to chat about things. Like when we started the podcast, the aim was to talk about things that were relevant and interesting to us as parents, not necessarily always talking about our kids.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to hear us do more stuff that's not directly about how we parent, but more just things that us
we
as
like.
parents we enjoy doing, then let us know. Also feels like a good time to maybe mention we have some friends who run another project called Faith and Geekery, which deals with diving into lots of these topics in various ways with lots of guests and friends. And if you want to explore chatting more about a lot of these things in depth, or a lot of the things we haven't touched on, then that might be of interest to you, and go check it out. We can leave links to that in the various places.
I have a parenting story that someone in my family sent in.
Go for it.
If you guys are keeping a tab, it's my sister Becky in France.
Oh, we haven't had it mentioned in this episode yet.
She's been slowly getting her oldest son Nassim into the things that she liked.
Yeah.
One of them was Downton Abbey.
Ooh.
But she forgot how inappropriate.
So for context, Nassi is 7.
Yes.
Yeah, I can
He's
see
quite
how
mature though, isn't he?
he is mature. Yeah.
Like he reads the Harry Potter books. And,
Yeah.
But she said she would like start watching it. Oh, it's all very nice. And then it was the bit where, is it Lady Mary?
Oh yeah, like in the beginning she has an
sex
affair.
with Mr. Pamuk.
Yeah.
And Becky was like, oh my goodness, okay, right, we'll stop that there. She was like, forgot that happened, forgot this was inappropriate, we'll have to wait to come back to Downton Abbey.
Reminiscing on it, it's easy to think that a lot of Downton Abbey was just, them prancing
For
about,
our house.
having picnics and like dealing with servants. But
and she was like, oh, it's
quite a bit of sex in it.
It's actually quite old. Let's not watch that. But he has started watching the new Doctor Who, and he's really enjoyed that so far.
She's also introduced him to Harry Potter.
Yes.
And like books and films.
Yeah,
hasn't
yeah.
she? So that's quite exciting. I'm very excited. So we've got a benchmarker now. Kind of 6 or 7. I feel like that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah. But story, do not start watching Downton Abbey with them.
Yeah, maybe like revisit some of your favourites to vet them before doing it with your kids, just to refresh your mind. I had a few people message us on Instagram, about fandoms and things when I mentioned in our Instagram stories that we might be talking about this. one comment in that they are a fan of anime, like you, Emma. And so he messaged saying how he's been introducing some anime to his toddler and that he's been watching with his son One Piece and Naruto? I don't know enough.
Naruto.
And they're also into doing like D&D stuff and Dungeons and Dragons, and which is great. That's good. The other one, we've got lots of parenting stories this week, actually. So very recently, in the last hour or two, I had a comment sent in to us via Instagram about parenting a kind of achievement fail this week. And she's a friend of ours telling us the story of how on Sunday morning they were getting ready they were very busy, getting ready to leave the house, getting ready to go out. And that kind of typical thing where you're just about to leave the door, and she heard something behind her, and it was her daughter having a poo in her nappy. And it's like, great, got to deal with that now.
Yeah.
And then she was late to wherever she was going. It's like, had a poo incident.
Yeah. That's what we used to call them, poo incidents.
There we are. If you've got a story, a comment, anything you want to submit or us to read out on the podcast, let us know. Send us in something via any of the means. Well, thank you for joining our conversation this week. I hope you've enjoyed it, whatever you know, whether you're a geeky person or not, whether you like fandoms or not. Share it with a friend who's particularly geeky or has an interest in one of the fandoms we've chatted about. And join us next time when we'll be chatting about something else to do with parenting, relating to babies and toddlers, and we'll have a lot of fun.
And comment how nice the shoes I've done are, please.
If you, go and look at them on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right, be gone. It's the end. Go sleep now. You can close your eyes.
No, you can't. You won't be working.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Driving.
Or driving, yeah. Well, don't do that. But when it's time, go try and get some rest.
Yeah. Make as most out of getting rest as you can.
God bless. Sleep well.